1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Royal Blue Podcast Soundcheck. Wednesday show live. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hello and welcome to the Royal Blue Podcast. It is the Wednesday show. We are live on YouTube and I am your host, Ian Croll. And joining me in the Royal Blue studio today to talk all things Everton, we've got Gavin Buckland and Tony Scott, which is, to be fair, a rare together double appearance for you two. You're never usually on the same show. You usually try to avoid each other, yeah?
Yeah.
So we're going to have
previous, haven't we, Scotty, off the Royal Blue, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Any antics today?
We are what would the midfield pairing of Everton would be really unusual? Should be
Keane and Gay.
Probably, yeah.
Are we going to get a slap before the end of the show?
If he's Scotty slapping me, no, we should play to be honest with Scotty. Always,
yeah, well, Tony always does the Wednesday show, and this is a rare Wednesday show appearance for you. So you're good, Gav, yeah?
Fine, yeah. I will try and stop talking before the end of the show. I know I carried on a little bit on Friday, much to I forgot to pick Mrs. Buckland up. I went on 15 minutes too long. I left Mrs. Buckland standing there in the freezing cold.
When Gav,
he's got some making up to do, hasn't he, over Christmas?
Yeah.
So let's get that mistletoe out, Gav.
Yeah.
Starting today.
I just said that the pod started late.
Blaming
this
me.
Isn't live, by the way.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh no, it's all yeah. But so a tight pod today. As tight as our midfield.
Yes.
But like I say, once you start, you just can't stop.
I can't remember what we ended up talking about. I went off on one, didn't I? And he just on at the end on there.
Not like you to go off on one about the toffees, Gav.
No, it's
something to do with England, I think, and where the Scousers didn't.
That was the question, wasn't it?
It was a good question.
Yeah.
So he's off and running.
No, yeah, that's right. So I have to watch the pod. Yeah, if you're not.
So you okay?
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
thanks,
last time I saw you was the post-match show, which went down well. Obviously 3-0 win. So.
Yeah, quite a lot of interaction online, wasn't it? And a lot of viewers. Yeah, it was good, and it's great to go backstage.
It's going down well, the old post-match shows, isn't it? Really?
When we win.
Yeah.
When we win,
yeah.
Putting the hours in.
Yeah. And then when we get beat, I get the blame on the comments for some.
Yeah, you're being too negative.
It's your fault. Being too negative. I don't work that out, but no, it's always good to talk about the Blues after a win. It was it was a much deserved win as well, wasn't it?
It's fun. I know I don't want to. It's funny, isn't it? You know, years and years ago, before the internet and social media and all that, like your support basically lasts the length of the match. And now you're interested in football, and that was it. You wouldn't talk about it in the interim, or you might mention it there being something in the Echo or something like that. But now it is like a 24/7 experience, isn't it? Being a football fan, whether that's healthy or not is a completely different question. But I was thinking about that now. You know, like you used to wait for a Sunday newspaper or the Pink Echo to get a match report. Now it's
in your
after
face,
the game,
isn't it?
Like, the game.
And I think as well, you going back as well. You obviously you get your Pink Echo straight after the game. Then you get your football phone in. So by Radio Merseyside or Radio City, one of them, you'd be speaking to obviously in there, getting your opinion across. And then on the Monday, I think Century FM had one with
the Legends one.
The Legends one. But now all of a sudden, as you're right, it's 24/7.
Yeah. Show me age even days before then when there was no such thing as a phone in.
No.
You know,
so you just walk away from the stadium and then just go and have your pint and have it.
Simpler times, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yes,
take
absolutely.
Me back.
I think there's a few managers who think they was rather operate then than
but
now. I mean, if Howard in '83 when he had all the leaflets and stuff, that was now Howard would have gone. You know who didn't favour? Joe Royle when he was in 96, 97.
Yeah,
that was just when like phone-ins had started and like the internet had just started and like supplements in newspapers of a Monday when football was big business in all of a sudden. And I think as a result, Joe got far more pressure as a manager than what he would have done like maybe 2 or 3, 4 years before. Yeah. And I think he would have survived. And I think he was one of a number around then who got sacked. He wouldn't have never have got sacked 2 or 3 years before. You know, and it's funny how the time and now it's just accelerated far more. There's no social media then, and I just think it's fascinating how, you know, football management and how long you've survived, and it is just purely based on A, results, and B, what the media is around at the time.
I would Harry Catton have coped.
It was just avoided it,
Yeah.
Harry, like,
He wouldn't have been able to cope because obviously we know when he wasn't known as the media darling at the time.
Yeah.
He would have struggled with doing 2 or 3 press conferences per week, dealing with that media side.
Harry was I think he was okay with it. He just didn't trust them really for good reasons. But that is a different. But no, it's just really interesting talking about the straight after the game in the studio.
Yeah.
Where years ago, it was just be a couple of people talking over a pint, and now you're broadcasting to
Exactly.
4,000 or 5,000 views of it.
Yeah,
Saturday.
exactly.
Well, there we go.
Great stuff.
Well, let's get to modern day, shall we?
Yeah.
Today's agenda, we're going to talk generally about a couple of things. We're going to give Gav the final word on the Forest win. As I mentioned, me and Tony did full in-depth reaction on Everton's 3-0 win on Saturday. So immediate post-match reaction, you can go watch or listen back to that. Give Gav his say. Also on the agenda, the main probably talking point, which we'll get into pretty much after Gav's given his final word. We're going to talk about Harrison Armstrong and whether Everton should make a move to get him to return on his loan from Preston North End. So be interested to know where Tony and Gav lie with regards to that. I know Moyes was asked about it in one of his press conferences over the past couple of weeks, and he didn't rule it out, to be fair, but I guess we'll have to see where we are with numbers over the next couple of weeks, especially with Adjustagana Gay and Illiman and I off to AFCON. As always, give us a thumbs up and drop us a like and subscribe to the channel. A quick word for our sponsor, NordVPN. To get the best discounts off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/EFC. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on a 2-year plan, and there is no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. And the link is in the podcast episode description box. Gav?
Briefly,
happy
oh
with
yes, absolutely. I thought it was our best performance at Hill Dickinson Stadium against what we said on Friday. We expected it to be a challenging Forest team, and only had a couple of injuries, but so did we. I thought it was pretty much a complete performance, helped by the 82nd goal. Obviously, Kieran Dewsbury Hall was the star man, but there was other good performances on the pitch, I thought. And that was it. 3-0 wins are quite comprehensive, aren't they? And we're temporarily 5th now. We're 6th, are we?
7th, I think. 7th,
yeah, we got because United have won. And yeah, it was all good. Only a couple of things I'd say. It's balances. I'm not sure about Pickford's form at the moment. I thought he flapped on that one. He got away with it in the second half, and I don't think at Newcastle home he covered himself in glory. And the other bit is James Tarkowski. I think it's the second time in 3 home games he's done it. Don't barge into players at the back when they're not looking at it.
You brought that up a couple of times though with regards to Tarkowski.
But he did the game. It was a Fulham he did it. There was no need right in front of the referee's gaze. I don't know what you're trying to prove. The captain should be setting the tone for the team and for the watching spectators, and just don't do it, mate.
Is he not setting the tone for the team by doing that?
It's a good question. I don't think so. Isn't it? But if the referee says, I'll tell you what, mate, I'm going to book you.
Okay, well, in Tarkowski's defence, he go, if I lay one on him here early doors, I don't raise my hands, let him know he's quiet. And to be fair, he didn't do a tap, did he?
Yeah, no, I get that. Like somebody. And I think if it was a heavy challenge or something like that, where Kevin Ratcliffe was going back. It was we used to do that very early on in the game, just over hit a ball. So I'd invite the forward in, and then
Jimmy Carragher got away with it.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. But I think just bumping into somebody indiscriminately because you just had a little bit of a touch shoulders or whatever, I just think that's unprofessional.
Don't give the referee a decision to make
absolutely.
or VAR. It was needless.
And I think he could set the tone for the team better by defending what he's defending this season.
He played well.
Set the tone. Be a leader with your performances. Don't be a leader by shoving somebody in the back. And I thought he did play well on Saturday. And so there's just one of those stupid things. And I'm just Pickford a little bit worried about it as well. But it was good to see Tierno Barry get his first goal. I think you might have said this, Scott, is when he run across NJ, I thought, what's he done that for? I was thinking that he was just going to run into him. But it was a good finish, and he deserved his goal for a decent display. But I'm with Moyes on this, is that
he can't go over 6 games.
6 goals at one. You've had the free hit here. Don't think that actually that's going to keep you in the team another 6 games playing as you are at the moment. You need to up your game and score a few goals.
I thought it was a good comment from Moyes, that, to be honest.
Keeping him on his toes.
He's got to. I mean, fair play. You scored your first goal, but you've gone a good couple of games without scoring. Just because you've scored your first one, don't give yourself a
Yeah,
pat on the back
pipe
too
down,
much.
Yeah.
But at the same token, it's like, what's the alternative?
Well, we know what you wouldn't go with that.
That's a separate pod in itself. But what he's saying is he's saying you will solve that problem if you score a few goals, won't you, and perform. And I think he needs to improve his performance, particularly with the ball in the area. But yeah, it was a great win. Good atmosphere at the end, and sets us up nicely for a couple of tricky games, but games that we can get something else of.
Well, Chelsea are not in a great run of form at this moment in time. Just very quickly, to on what Gav said about Pickford, I don't think we touched upon it too much in the post-match pod. I think we may have mentioned one or two incidents where Pickford did flap it. Any concern? I mean, he obviously probably saves us more times than most, but he was a little bit flappy, I guess is the word to use.
Yeah, I think when Everton dominated that game, didn't he, for large parts of it, even though Nottingham Forest, the stats said that they had obviously the more possession, but they weren't hurting us. They were doing a lot of passes sideways, and they didn't really hurt us. And when they did, obviously Pickford was asked the question, and with Gavin, he was sort of worrying me. In midweek, he was very good against Bournemouth, wasn't he? Made some good saves in midweek. Against Newcastle, he was awful, I thought. So he was decision-making, coming off his line, demanding crosses. He's a very good shot stopper, don't get me wrong, but his Achilles heel has always been coming out for crosses, demanding his area, due to obviously the size of him. And he hasn't been doing that in the last couple of home games. I think we've got away with it. And if you were coming up against a very physical team, i.e. Arsenal in a couple of weeks' time, who were a very, very big threat from set pieces like Newcastle are, then that's when he'll be tested.
Tottenham,
yeah, exactly. So Arsenal are going to be the biggest threat. They will be the biggest threat from set pieces this season. We've got them in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, I don't prolong this. Probably not got to the first item within the agenda. I mean, is the greater emphasis on long balls, long throws, set pieces, get the ball into the 6-yard box has shown his vulnerabilities as a keeper up far more this season than previous campaigns, and it's something that I think it's something we need to protect him with by defending better. Because as much as we've given him stick, I don't think on occasion we've defended great, have we, in the 6-yard box? But it's just showing him up a little bit. And I'm not sure at this stage in his development as a goalkeeper whether he can do much more. Because I think the problem is physical makeup. But I do think it's something that, as Toe said, against somebody like Arsenal, who were challenging anyway, to the biggest teams, I think that could be causes a problem.
I think it's more highlighted this season, isn't it, because of how physical and how much of a throwback this season is in terms of corners, set pieces, throw-ins. That because that's his like Achilles heel. That's where he's going to be tested. The season's gone by where he could get away. It wasn't as physical, it wasn't as demanding. You're kind of playing tiki-taka from the back. This season, it's just a throwback to 1990s football. Yeah. So that's where he's caught and found in a little bit of a rock and a hard place.
It's always been one of his weaker points, from his attributes. And I think Spurs and Newcastle definitely targeted that. And
Arsenal, Arteta's going to be next week.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy.
We've still only conceded, was it 17 goals? It was quite a low number of goals.
And one of the lowest from set pieces in the Premier League, by the way, as well.
You always pick up the 3 or 4 times where it doesn't go right, and there's loads of times it does go right, we defend it well. Just that on last few games, as Toe said, particularly at home, he's looked vulnerable.
I mean, people might be accusing us of being negative here. We're obviously not. We're just picking up on, one or two things. Pickford's kept 6 clean sheets so far this season, so he's up there.
In the main, he's been very good. Yeah, by the way.
We've won 4 games with the clean sheet, is that right? The 4 wins?
I think it's 6.
No, but that we won 4 out of 5. Are they all with clean sheets? They are, aren't they? Fulham, Man United, Bournemouth, and
Brighton.
Brighton's up there as well.
Brighton on the opening day.
Yeah, I'm just talking this run of 4.
The run of 4, yeah.
I think all the 4 games are over.
And to be fair to him, against the Sunderland game as well, Tarkowski's got a knacker just standing in front of his way. There are many times that's happened this season where Tarkowski, instead of going to the ball and blocking it, he's just got this ugly habit of running in front of Pickford. And Pickford's short-sighted. Leeds spring to mind, giving the penalty away. It's a deflected goal against Sunderland. It happens against Newcastle, where, don't get me wrong, Pickford should be doing better, but there's nothing worse than if a centre-half's just in front of your sight and you can't do nothing about it.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway.
Okay, obviously positive from Saturday then, 3-0 win, and sets us up nicely, I think, for Chelsea. We will touch on Chelsea a little bit towards the end of the pod, but one thing I did want to discuss, I wanted to do something a little bit different. Obviously, Harrison Armstrong's back from his injury with Preston, and has played a couple of games and he scored a goal. So we'll start with you with it. It's been muted that potentially Harrison Armstrong could come back on loan. Obviously, Everton have probably got that option to bring him back if needed. What are the pros and cons, I guess, with bringing him back? We know the issues with Everton's squad size. Can Everton's squad, or certainly midfield, central midfield, cope with Idrissa Gueye going and, Illiman and Dye going? Because obviously, even though he plays on the right, it leaves other areas open because McNeil will have to play there, or Diblin's going to have to play there. So there is the option to bring Harrison Armstrong back, but it's almost like you don't want to bring him back because that development that he's obviously, an experience that he's getting at Preston, it's hard to come by that.
Yeah, we've got a bit of an issue if we're sweating on an 18-year-old academy player coming back into the first team who hasn't kicked a ball for Everton in the Premier League this season, by the way. So we've got a big problem if we're heavily reliant on bringing an 18-year-old kid back into the side. That just says the nature of your recruitment, really, to be honest. No Premier League team should be sweating on an 18-year-old kid coming back into the first team in January. He was having a successful loan period in the Championship for his development. Now, as obviously I'm an under-9s coach myself, and part of my role is to make sure that the kids get developed, all of them. And is it in Harrison Armstrong's best interests to develop him to come back to Everton in January? And to be honest, it's going to be a bit of a rush job. It's going to be an emergency if that's the case. I don't think so. I think he will benefit from playing another 6 months in the Championship for a very good Preston side at the moment. We were playing some decent football. He's made 13 appearances so far this season in the Championship. Don't get me wrong, he, in my opinion, he'd be probably playing for Everton. I think he's got all the tools to play for Everton in the future. He can play in a 6, he can play in an 8. I've seen him playing in a 10 as well. Also for England at international level as well. So he's got a lot going for him. I do like him. I've been very, very critical about Everton's academy over the past 5 or 10 years, and I'll still stand by that. Since Anthony Gordon, I don't think we've brought anything through that academy at all. God knows how much it's costing us on a season-by-season basis. But having said all that, Harrison Armstrong, the guy from West Derby, which you'll know that district very, very well, is the one coming out that academy that we should be keeping an eye on. So I do like the look of him. I've followed his career really closely over the 18 months, 2 years. I've already seen him in an Everton pre-season game against Salford a couple of years ago. We stood out like a sore thumb there. And I've been watching him very closely indeed. I think he's got a big future at Everton, by the way. And when players generally come out the academy, any academy, by the way, doesn't matter if it's Manchester City, Manchester United, whatever it may be, they may have the quality, but whether they've got the mental and physical strength to play at that level. Some of these kids you're watching academies now, and they look like bags of skill, and they look great going forward, but have they got the mentality to play at this level? And have they got the physique to play in this level as well? So playing in centre midfield, which is his natural position, you need to have a physical presence in there. And he's a big lad for his age, by the way. Yeah. I think that'll tick a lot of boxes for him, because we've seen so far this season the likes of James Garner, who we rate really highly at Everton at the moment, when he's coming up against that calibre of physique or that touch of quality. Adam Morton springs to mind against Palace, he didn't get a kick. When he come up against Joe Linton and Bruno Gimenez, he didn't get a kick. So when you're coming up against either a physical athlete or a touch of quality in the Premier League, sometimes you'll have found wanting. So it's important for me that we don't rush him back. He continues his development at Preston.
Gav, I mean, I'm sure the club would say the same, and we would say the same. I'm sure they'd be reluctant to want to bring him back. But how drastic would it have to get for us to think, well, we actually do need to bring us, as Tony mentioned, this young 18-year-old
back? I just wonder about Scotty being an under-9 coach. Imagine if all the parents of their kids had the podcast talking about Scotty's coaching skills. That'd be a turn up for the book. I'd definitely listen to that one.
Scott out.
Scott out. Yeah.
Like these ballsy coaches on Merseyside, they're all right, you know.
Yeah. You haven't got somebody who doesn't know what they're going to play for you anymore, have you? Yeah. No, seriously, I'm with Toe on this. I mean, it's not as if, when we had made the decision for them to go on loan, it's not as if this wasn't unforeseen. Oh, we're going to lose Garner Gaze to the AFCON. They knew that anyway, didn't they? Okay, 1 or 2 injuries, but possibly have highlighted it. But I think if you're going to send somebody on loan who's that age, you send them for the season. Don't bring him back. And then when he does come back, he hasn't trained with the players for half a season. He's, some of them he's unfamiliar with. He hasn't played with, has he? And I think it would be counterproductive to come back and then just stick him on the bench or give him half an hour here and there, you know, when he could be playing competitive football at a reasonable level at Preston in surroundings that he's comfortable with. So, in other words, you know, keep him at Preston, that's the best for his development. He's obviously got something about him. That's why he was playing for us last year at a young age. They obviously think he's got something about him. So, therefore, just keep him at Preston. And I'm sure, I mean, I think the decision we made easy. If you got a right back, if we bought a right back in January, that would negate the need to play Garner at right back. I mean, that's causing the issue at the moment, isn't it? Rather than buying another midfielder. I think that would help us in midfield where we wouldn't have this conversation. But yeah, I'd just keep him there for me. It makes no sense to bring him back. And if I was the player, I know he's said, you know, he's maybe not been clear on it, but I'd be saying I don't want to stay here. That's the message I would be given. And that would be, it's good for Preston, good for Armstrong where he is at the moment, and it's good for us that he'll come back hopefully a little different player. I mean, at the end of the season, I know you're saying about beefing up. I think a couple of times he played for us in the summer, you know, on the summer tour, and he looked bigger than what he did last year. And as we know, and we've alluded to the more physical sides of the Premier League this season, which will probably be the same next year. And I think in several years is the way football goes. I think you need a physical presence in midfield, and he will be ideal for us. And he's obviously got something about him. And I think, if he does, he'll do well at Preston has done. I think that's to our benefit.
There's a lot of mixed comments with regards to bringing him back or keeping him there. What I will say is, so take away the fact that, take away Harrison Armstrong's development, you know, take him out the picture, even though it's about him. Have Everton got enough to fill the gaps without Idrissa Gueye and Iliman and Dye? Obviously, I'm sure there could be another solution transfer-wise rather than bringing Harrison Armstrong back. But effectively, over January, we are going to have 6 players who could play in 3 positions, including the number 10. So the 2 holding and the number 10, that's obviously Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, Alcaraz, Irabuman, Roll, Garner and McNeil. I guess 7 could be Diblin, but he's probably just a right winger.
You mentioned McNeil then, sorry.
Yeah, McNeil's part of the 6. And McNeil's not going to play as a holding midfielder. Alcaraz. Yeah, so what I'm saying is 6 to get us through that period.
That's more than enough. That's more than enough, because if you look at Everton's fixture list in January, it's quite kind, isn't it? Once we get Chelsea and Arsenal
the whole Christmas fixture list is quite kind, really.
Exactly. You've got Forest, you've got Burnley, we've got Wolves coming up as well, and Fulham. You've got a lot of handy fixtures there in January. And don't forget, we're not in the Carabao Cup. We're not in Europe. Play 1 game a week. You're not testing the squad, are you? Let's be honest. So we should be able to cope with 1 or 2 injuries, maybe the odd suspension. So if you realise, as I touched on there at the start, if you're sweating on an 18-year-old kid out the academy to be an emergency to come back into the first team, then you've got big problems as a football club.
Let me rephrase the question then, because we've got basically only 2 players who've played most minutes for Everton, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall and Garner. The rest, Alcaraz, Irabuman, Roll, McNeil, you know, barely played any minutes. Irabuman's probably the most out of there. It's all well and good filling the gaps, but is there enough quality in there?
They should be. I think they should be, yeah. In terms of who we're up against as well. You look at 9 or 10 teams now in the Premier League, they're all playing European football. Everton are probably one of the 10 that aren't. It went down to 9th, was it, or 10th last season? The Premier went down to 9th. So there's 11 teams in the Premier League currently not playing European football, and Everton are one of them. So it should be quite simple for Moyes to basically say, right, this squad, maybe get 1 or 2 in January themselves, but the fixture list is quite kind to us. We played a lot of decent teams so far this season. We've got obviously Stamford Bridge to come on Saturday, then Arsenal. After that, I think in terms of, listen, if you're going to lose obviously Guy and Ndai, then the fixtures coming up are quite kind to us. I guarantee if you look at Sunderland on the opposite side, they lose 7 first team players and they've got a horrendous fixture list coming up. So I think it's been quite kind to us in terms of the time and the fixture list going forward. I think, to answer your question, yeah, we should be able to cope with the fixture list as well. I mean,
I know we were poor against Newcastle, and you could make the argument that we missed Gay there, but you know we've won 2 without him as well, haven't we? So it's not like we've missed them immensely. Where we probably are going to miss.
Didn't miss him against Manchester United.
Well, exactly. Sorry. What's the best midfield pairing, Gav, that you think we've got? Because let's face it, there's been a number of combinations over the past couple of weeks, and that's more often than not being forced on the manager to make those decisions.
When you say midfield pair, two in front of the I think Garner and Garner Guy at this moment in time. Yeah. I don't want to play Dewsbury all there. I'd always play him further up.
Oh,
I just think
completely disagree with that.
I just think physically, I just think physically we want a little bit more there. I just rather have him closer to our strikers. I know he brings something from deep, but I'd rather have them two there. I'm more open to playing Dewsbury Hall there based on previous performances, but I just think it's big midfield. I think he struggles. Because that's what you're saying before about we got 6 players. I think for whatever the midfield positions, I'd look at it a little bit more similar. Like how many players we got for the 2 in front of the back forward is what we should be looking at there. So that takes McNeil out, takes Alcaraz out, doesn't it? Really, possibly. So you've got Dewsbury Hall, Garner, Gay, Garner, Erabunum.
But we can't include Gay because he's off. I'm talking about.
So got Rail. We don't mean that hasn't helped as his injuries.
Yeah, we don't know when he's coming back.
January apparently.
So we got enough, as you say, to get us through the month. And as you say, would Armstrong, with all due respect to him, add that much quality compared to what we got at the moment? He's just. But basically, what we're saying is come back because we need another body.
Yeah, it's on the bench.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got enough to muddle through there, and it means he can stay at Preston. To be honest with you, it's just not even a discussion for me. People who've said of interest, we can't see the
can't see the comments,
which sometimes
technical issues
is a benefit. But people who've said he should come back, what was the arguments given for that?
Sorry, it was just mainly one or two just saying, yeah, bring him back.
Didn't say what reason.
What's the reason?
What's the reason for him coming back?
Obviously, you know my opinion. He should be kept where he is for his development.
It's surely got to be it's a drastic situation where players are injured, suspended, we're literally down on numbers.
By the way, he's a very good footballer. He's a very, very good footballer.
Last year, didn't you?
And we've seen that even this season playing for Everton's first team against Mansfield in the Carabao Cup. He was man of the match, got 2 assists.
Yeah.
And that's for a box-to-box midfielder. So we know he's got it within him to play at this level. I think about it from a coach's perspective and Harrison Armstrong's perspective. It's in his best interest to be playing championship football, blood and thunder, when you're getting towards the playoffs, when you're playing 90 minutes Tuesday, 90 minutes Saturday, 90 minutes Sunday. You're playing continuously where at Everton, he's just going to be sat there on the bench and going, am I getting the odd 10 minutes here? So he's going to be playing for Preston 3 times every 8 days, constantly. And hopefully Preston are going to the playoffs and they get a chance in there.
The only reason I can think of for recalling him would be that we've seen enough of you in your first half season at Preston to think that you can walk in our team straight away.
Yeah, that would be the only logic.
That is the only logical reason for coming back. So it's actually we sent you there for. I mean, I presume you have got a recall phrase.
January,
Is the only logical reason would be you've done so well at Preston, and therefore you don't have to be wasting your time spending 5 months there for the rest of the season, because actually we think you can do a job for us for 5 months in our midfield for the rest of the season. That's the only logic I can think of where you would bring him back.
But to not have an unwanted record, I think Everton and Burnley are the only 2 teams in the Premier League who haven't given a single minute to an academy player this season.
That's
damning and telling in itself.
I've got a comment in favour of him coming back. But first off, Daniel Barton says, I'd rather not interrupt his development and leave him to play for the rest of the season with Preston. However, Dave Mack says, bring him back. Harrison is that good, he'd assist us in our European push. He's the closest player we have to Gerrard.
But that is like sort of what we're saying, aren't we? That's the only logic, but actually we don't know that, do we?
But is another solution just get another midfielder in, like try and sign a midfielder, or a right back?
Get a number 10 in. That's where you've just asked Gav there in terms of who's the best midfield pairing. Now you can make a case in terms of Dewsbury or James Garner or just a Garner guy between the 3 of them. But eventually you'd want a decent number 10, because then you're pushing Dewsbury into a 10 who quite clearly sometimes struggles in that position because of his height and his physicality. That number 10 role is like, you need to be box to box. It's like so pivotal in the Premier League in terms of if you're playing in that, because that position, and I've said to this on many episodes, that it's quite outdated, that position now. In terms of Premier League, you need to interchange. Nobody stays in a number 10 anymore. You've got to get back and help up the rest of the team, unless you are a Lionel Messi. You've seen across the park, they paid 100 million for a number 10, and they're having to put him on the bench or put him on the left. And there's not many examples in the Premier League where you can be a bit of a maverick. You've seen Chelsea get overrun at times, even you got the quality of Cole Palmer. You can't, that number 10 role, you need to be absolute top level to play in it. And I know Everton, you'd be looking at physical presence in there. And sometimes when we've seen this season, when Everton have been overrun in the midfield because Jude Bjorn's been left in that 10 position, and it's just left to just a guy and James Garner coping with 3 men running at them, and sometimes that midfield just looks fine wanting, really.
Okay, we've got about 10 minutes left. 10 minutes. I will. I saw this last night. It was an article from the BBC, just with us obviously being in 7th place, and deservedly so. I mean, we were up to 5th. I think if we win against Chelsea, I'm sure we can potentially go to 4th. But if we get beaten, other teams win, we could drop down to 12th, which is just mad. But this issue, or UEFA's ruling over clubs and multi-club ownership in Europe. Yeah. So apparently, according to this BBC article from Dale Johnson, they're not going to be lenient on the rules, and they are hammering down. So if you're not sorted by the 1st of March, obviously next year, and then you end up qualifying and you've got a couple of clubs in the same competition, you're basically screwed.
What do you mean by sorted?
Well, you need to come up with.
You need to comply with the rules.
Rules.
So basically, in a nutshell, is that the Friedkins really need to be looking at potential scenarios with Roma and Everton. Now, in their case, they should have guys behind the scenes now working alongside, hoping and praying that they aren't hitting each other in the same. So, see for argument's sake, Roma finishing the Champions League, Everton finishing the Conference. But you'd like to think at this moment in time that the ownership will have guys behind the scenes working on potential scenarios, what could potentially happen, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, Roma are 4th in their league, and I know this is all hearsay and it's still a long way to go, but it is a genuine concern. It's happened to Crystal Palace, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Absolutely, and rather harshly, I thought. I had a look at the Serie A table. That's proper old school Serie A, isn't it? I was looking at that the weekend. Played 14, scored 15, conceded 8, for 4th place. I mean, I think on this is effectively what they've got to do is, and it's changed, hasn't it, from last year, is it's the multi-club ownership model, isn't it? And one of your clubs, if it applies if 2 of your clubs are in the same European competition, not just in Europe, they have to be in the same competition. Yeah. This applied to Palace, didn't it? So that means is if they are, one of them has to go into a blind trust, which basically means the owner has to give up the rights to
is it the full percentage, Gav, or is it?
I think it's the main owner. Because obviously, not the Friedkins don't even own 100% of Everton, do they? So the owner is the top person, which is Friedkin in this case, isn't he? Has to give up, and same with Roma, has to give up their effectively their ownership and decision making capability and all that round the club. They keep the finances, obviously, and that's put into a blind trust for others. Now, last year, that had to be done by the 1st of March. Both,
it's the same for next year.
But I don't think it is. I think there's
according to the BBC.
If Dale's saying, and Dale knows his stuff as if I know him, like it's just
he
knows he's the go-to. Yeah, that the 1st of deadline. I think the 1st of March deadline is to flag it up that there may be a potential issue, but to put a club into blind trust hasn't that been extended? I've not read the article because
don't Manchester City navigate around this with their obviously partner clubs?
With Girona, yeah. But they're not only in the same tournament. I think either way, it doesn't matter on the deadline. But is that one of your clubs has got to go into a blind trust? Now it doesn't be Everton or Roma. The other thing as well, it also causes enormous complication if you've got debt. If somebody's loaned you money and you give it, you transfer your ownership over even temporarily to somebody else. It can,
Well, I was going to ask you that, Gav. Do you think that blind trust can still have a connection with the club, or is it got to be separate?
No, it's got to be separate completely. Yeah. You can't. It's totally divorced from the owner now.
Okay.
Now, and as I say, it causes enormous complications if somebody's loaned you money. Because you're now saying you've loaned me the money, but guess what? I'm not the owner anymore, and so it causes issues in that. I don't know about the deadline, but you got to. I think as a result of the Palace thing last year, they've extended it, where you flag up there's a potential issue by the 1st of March, and that, as you say, Scotty, that you're working towards it, but you don't have to actually firm that up until later. I might be completely wrong on that.
I'll just read this paragraph. UEFA issued a circular on Monday to underline that the 1st of March is the strict deadline for compliance. It insisted there will be no extension to get around the regulations after this date.
Yeah, compliance to what?
As in flagging it up or going through the procedure.
I've not checked that. Anyway, either way, it doesn't matter, does it? What we know is luckily, if we're both in the same European competition, Champions League, this is something that has to be done, regardless of what date it is. That's a bit of a...
No, you mentioned that, Gavin, tongue in cheek, obviously. But if Everton was to win the next 2 games...
We title contenders?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
If, obviously, it's a big if, by the way. That puts us, it'll put us second, 3 points behind Arsenal.
I think, but the bit about... There's about outside the top 3, this is all good stuff, isn't it? Outside the top 3, there's probably 8 or 9 clubs in the Premier League saying exactly the same as this.
Well, I said if we lose, it's a good conversation.
Yeah.
But either way,
we can have fun with it, can't we?
They'll have to decide which one goes into blind trust, whether it's us or Rome, and that might depend on what competition they're in and what we are and all that type of stuff. And
I'd say it would be interesting what the Freakins would want to happen.
Well, that's the thing,
my guess is they would keep Roma and they would put us in the
Europa.
Oh, no.
So what would they want to happen as the league's planning, as the season's carrying on?
It's cool.
Because you look at what we've got at the moment.
I'm just wondering
and you're thinking, hang on, imagine Champions League football down there.
If they were talking about coefficients, it would help Italy's coefficients if Roma got into the Champions League.
But from the Freakin side of it.
Yeah.
So they will be thinking about coefficient points for Italian clubs.
They'll
be thinking money.
Yeah,
They'll be thinking money. Who are we going to make the most money from? Roma in the Champions League or Everton in the Champions League or Europa League or vice versa?
Well, because of the TV rights thing, it was probably more beneficial to Roma, isn't it, than Everton, because we've got loads of money from the Premier League anyway, don't we? I think it depends on how much money you get as well, because we're going on blind alley here, and Ian said 10 minutes ago. If you're in the Champions League and you've not qualified before, you actually money you don't get that much. In fact, you don't get that much from the Europa League, do you?
No.
I mean, Brighton lost money, didn't he, when he were in the Europa League? Yeah. So it's just this prestige, isn't it? The sponsorship, we know all that. My guess is that they would rather have Roma in because that it probably helps them a lot more than us, because we've got the Premier League,
the TV revenue money.
That's my guess, but I don't know.
Daniel Barton says, what is the reason why 2 teams under the same ownership can't play in the same European competition? I mean, my understanding that UEFA just say it's
conflict of interest.
They got drawn against each other, or they one of them was playing against another team and they had to get beat or whatever. Like it's just
it opens a massive can of worms. UEFA probably don't need.
Yeah, it's going to be, apparently there's 300 clubs in Europe who are under a multi-club ownership business.
There's quite a lot. Everton aren't going to be the only
one. So, and obviously they've got Cannes as well, haven't they?
Where are they?
In the second tier.
Second tier.
That's the second time we've mentioned the south of France on consecutive podcasts have been on.
Well, it's actually
on Friday mentioned.
Isn't it where you finish in the league, you get precedence? Isn't that the thing? Because Palace won the cup, but Forest finished above. Forest finished above, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going on a bit of a tangent there.
You are going on very much on a tangent, but either way.
Let's worry about this in May.
Yeah. It's a bit complicated.
Or March even. Yeah, let's worry about it in March.
29th of April.
Yeah, it's good that you flagged it up. Because
Dale Johnson flagged it up for us. I saw it last night.
Yeah,
and then you can go back on this in April. Go, hang on, the lad there talking about it. We seen this coming.
Yeah,
well, he's been poached from ESPN, hasn't he? Dale Johnson by the Beeb. Yeah, so it's something that could be something that they will be looking at and have a plan for. Hopefully, it's funny, isn't it? How in terms of the managers of the 2 clubs, terms of what goes on behind the scenes, whether they're pushing for both clubs equally at the same time, or there's, as you say,
we'll find out in January, won't he? Who gets the biggest purse to spend in January?
Exactly. There's some interesting little storylines behind this, isn't there? Really. Roma go out and break the Italian transfer record.
And we're having to sell a player.
We sell NJ for like 10 million to Roma. Yeah, to Roma, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Kieran's usually Roma skipper in February. You know.
It's the Everton in us, isn't it? Always thinking that way. Okay, we're going to have more Chelsea preview content coming for the rest of the week, and that'll be Friday. But very quickly, do you want to give your predictions, lads, for Saturday? I know we haven't really discussed that game, but... Chelsea are not doing very well.
No, they're on a bit of a pull run. They got beat last night, didn't they? I think it's a game where, and isn't it nice that what's going to be 3,500 Evertonians going down there with loads of belief that we've got a chance of not just sitting back behind the ball and hoping for a set piece, that we'll have a go at these. It's as I touched on in the podcast, it's sort of like the knife to a gunfight now. We're going blow for blow. And Evertonians will take that walking out the ground. And if we've got beat, we'll go, do you know what, being beaten off a better side, but at least we'll go down trying. And I think that Everton will have a go. I think they'll score against Chelsea. Chelsea on the day can be very, very good. Don't get me wrong. We've seen that against Arsenal when they had 10 men a couple of games ago. Everton have been very, very good on the road this season. Set up perfectly under Moyes. And I think it's a game they can definitely get something from. No Delap as well. He's injured, which is a good thing for us. They'll just be obviously going with Pedro. The midfield, obviously, they've arguably got one of the best midfielders in there, but he's suspended, isn't he, Caicedo, which will help. Dewsbury all goes back to his old club, so there's a lot of storylines there, but I think it's a game that Everton can definitely get something from. I think it'll be a draw.
Okay. Gav, I'm sure you'll know this, but the last time Everton beat Chelsea away from home,
95?
Yeah,
Michael
94,
Branch.
Joe Rowe's first away game, wasn't
it? Yeah, was Michael Branch?
No,
Paul Rideout. Yeah, Paul
Branch
Rideout
scored in a couple of years
so
later, didn't he?
It was a long time ago, but this season has been the season for Everton to break.
Moyes
get the monkey off our back.
Yeah, he's not got great. Well, we haven't got a great record at Chelsea, as you say. I hopefully he takes his lead from the Man United performance where we were on. I have to say front foot. Yeah, maybe on
the
front foot.
Intensity was good.
Yeah, the intent to attack was there from the start, and that was beneficial to us for the rest of the game. And I hope he does that. I hope the Chelsea performance from the start of the game is more Old Trafford than Anfield. That's what I would say. And if we do that, I think we can get something. And because we certainly have got the players who can hurt them. And as I said, on a bit of a bad run, Chelsea, I think they had something similar happened to them last season, wasn't it? In December onwards. So easily I think we get a win there. Yeah, go for it. Take it going to a knife fight. And and,
shoot your way in.
Yeah, absolutely. No, seriously, 1-0 to the Mighty Blues. He's got a little bit of he's got the bit between his teeth, Moyes, at the moment, hasn't he? I think the squad have got that as well, and I think there's absolutely no reason at all why we can't do that on Saturday.
Okay, we will leave it there. We will be back on Friday. It is going to be a view from the opposition. With Chelsea fan and sports journalist Jake Stokes. So I'm recording that this afternoon and that will go out on Friday. Lads, thank you very much for coming in and
Cheers.
We will see you again soon. This has been the Royal Blue Podcast with me, Ian Croll, Tony Scott and Gav Buckland, and we'll see you again soon.